But just talk about boundaries for a minute and how boundaries are a huge issue that pastors need to
What
be aware of.
it's just such a slippery slope to get into scenarios or situations where you could quickly and easily look back and think, man, I wish I wasn't there. I wish that didn't happen. Why
Yeah.
did I put myself in a place where that could even be the outcome, you know? And so I think there's so many guys that you can go through seminary, you can, Bible college, whatever you do to prepare, and then you get into the position pastoring a church, and now you've got people coming to you for guidance. You're asked to give advice. You're asked to be a mediator between conflict. You're put into some sometimes very thick scenarios, and a lot of those conversations you get so emotionally attached to people. It's so easy to do. And I think it stems out of goodness to begin with, because you're compassionate, you care about them, you
Yep.
love them, you want to
Yep. You want
help.
to help? Yep.
And when they bring that opportunity, your ego kind of comes in check too, because it's like, oh man, maybe I can help, maybe I can be the one to fix all this. And I think
Yeah.
especially for men, that's a common temptation. Oh man, here's a problem, let me fix it. And you find yourself in a position, especially as you go, if you're with women especially, you can find yourself engaged in those conversations, which purely start from good motives, and it can easily veer off into something that just becomes overwhelming. And now you're like, man, where did this happen? How did this happen?
Yeah. Well, and the way you describe it, almost like it happens on accident. You just get
That's
caught
right.
up in it, and then all of a sudden,
Yep, yep.
how did I get in this deep?
And
Uh,
the guys that I know that have been in that spot, none of them, to my knowledge, said, I'm going to start having this counseling conversation, that whatever, and I'm going to do that in order to have an affair with this
yep.
woman, or whatever. Nobody goes into
Yeah.
it saying that's what I want to do. They go
Yep.
in saying, I want to help. I want to be the fixer. I want to be compassionate. I want to be loving. And sadly, we sin. We're enticed by our own desires. Your
Yeah.
flesh starts coming into the picture,
Yep.
man, if you're not careful.
Well, it's not only that it's your flesh coming into the picture. When I think about it, we're talking about men who have set aside their lives
Hmm.
to dedicate it to the service of the Lord. Who
Right,
more is the evil one going to just take out and
right,
target?
right.
And so it totally makes sense to me. The other part of it is, and this is something I explain to my counseling students, if you think just about how a relationship starts, a relationship that's going to become a romantic relationship, it starts with uh, people crossing paths for the first time. It starts with a growing intimacy, and I'm not even talking about
Amen.
physical intimacy. I'm talking about sharing story,
Yep.
uh, coming alongside someone, developing a desire to be there for them, to help. And so that same kind of growth that happens at the beginning of any of those romantic relationships is very similar to the development of a counseling kind of
Right,
relationship. The
right,
difference is it's just very one-sided if the counseling's been being done right, right? It's
right.
the other person doing a lot of sharing. It's not necessarily you sharing from your own personal story. And yeah, if your boundaries aren't solidly in place, uh, it's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.